with the rising fad of fantasy football, and more specifically Dynasty nowadays, it feels like less people are looking towards redraft. We kind of came up with our own Dynasty league, and I got a very special guy to talk to. It's actually the commish of our own Dynasty league. It's Halfway Crooks. We got on Brandon. What's up, Brandon?
How's it going, everybody watching from home? My name is Brandon, creator of this league and commissioner. So, made all the rules. Yeah, happy to be here. We're having a good time with it so far. Third year going into it. So, we've all kind of played redraft for a long time and wanted to expand a little bit and do some Dynasty. And now that you got a little taste of Dynasty, I feel like I can't go back. Redraft just isn't as fun anymore. So, how you feel about that?
I think I've liked it so far. I think to start off, what gave you the idea to be like, I want to change it up instead of just doing redraft every year, and keeper just doesn't feel like it's enough? Because a lot of people were doing keeper leagues where you just keep 2 to 3 guys on your team for a couple of years and then you just kind of reset. What made you want to go all the way into the deep end and say, I almost want to treat this like an NFL GM and be able to keep my guys for as long as I'm able to, and not just have it be a 1, 2, maybe 3-year rental?
Yeah, it's like bringing Madden franchise to life over here is what we're doing. But the keeper leagues, they were always interesting. That, like you said, that was kind of popular when we were doing redraft for a while. But it interested me, but never enough to start a league. And then Dynasty started getting a little popular and kicking up, and that just seemed like a whole lot more strategy to me. And I really thought we'd have a good time with it. And I knew like 6 guys right off the bat that I knew would just love it. And we eventually found some other guys that were interested in it and got a good crew together. I was trying to make it like as trade happy as possible and like super active. And that's how every kind of Dynasty league starts. And most people are like, oh, the average length of a Dynasty league is like 2.5 years before it fizzles out. But I really think we got a good group that is willing to stick it out and make some moves happen. And we got guys on the wait list if these guys fizzle out. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I think we really have some people that like playing. So.
Yeah, I would say for the most part, even though it was kind of scrap parts for the most part for a couple of guys, because initially we had 9 or 10, and I know 10 is like okay, but I feel like 12 is that perfect amount, because once you get to 14, 16, it really makes teams bare bones. I feel like 12 is that perfect number, and the fact that even though when we were first making this league back in 2022, it still ended up working out because we found guys that we've been friends for a long time. I know a couple of guys in our league. It's like we maybe haven't met yet, but because they live in a completely different area in a completely different part of the country. But it seems like with this league, it's a little bit different because we have guys that we've all known each other for years, and even if we haven't, other guys have known them for years, and we've been able to connect in one way or another.
Yeah, definitely. It's been pretty cool. Most of us went to high school together, so we started playing redraft and everything, and everybody's got a good bit of football knowledge, and it's fun to be a part of a competitive group, and really good atmosphere when it comes to stuff like that. Yeah, shout out Hunter. Haven't met that guy yet, but
I still don't know how to pronounce his last name, because I remember when I call him and he doesn't answer my phone when I'm trying to either make a trade or like get his ideas on something.
Yeah.
Or like just see like where he's at with a certain type of situation. Like his voicemail is like Hunter something, and I feel
like I know how to say it. I've seen it printed out on Venmo, but I'm not going to name drop them on
right. I mean,
on live TV, but love you, Hunter. Love you.
Right. Please make a trade with me.
Yeah. I actually have one pending right now, or not pending, but just
in the works.
Inbox trade.
In the works.
Waiting on him to hit the little green button.
I think before getting into the whole space of Halfway Crooks, I kind of want to start off with you personally, kind of having others get to know you. Like, what was your first, I guess you could say, football memory?
You're talking about like watching or playing? I mean, I played football a little bit growing up. Started playing Madden probably before I even started playing football itself. So that's probably where it stems from. Like every sport I ever got interested in, I started playing video games first. Learned all the guys that was playing, and then like eventually developed like a love for watching it, and then take it a step further, go to fantasy football. That's kind of how I got here. But Yeah, definitely probably started with Madden. I played flag football as a kid, but that's just kind of playing to play around. Um, yeah, I have to go with Madden and just having fun on that game growing up as a kid, playing my brother, playing my dad in Madden, and learning players from there. Started probably playing on Madden '08, something like that. Running with Brandon Jacobs and the Giants,
Brandon, oh my,
and
what a callback.
Jericho Cotchery on the Jets, throwing bombs, man. It was
Oh
a
man.
good time. So yeah, that's my first memory.
Now, when it comes to fantasy football wise, when did you start?
I probably started when I was 10 or 11, pretty early. Probably didn't really know what was going on. It was kind of just like back then it was a family league, like really, really small, 10-man league, probably like start 7, so super shallow rosters. And
Everybody's on the waivers.
yeah, at that time, like drafts weren't even really that popular. Like you pretty much had to do them offline, like you had to meet up and do them if you wanted to actually draft your own players. So we just did it was always auto draft every single year. So I was always super excited to wake up in the morning before school and check what team I got. It was going to be completely random, and it's oh, I woke up and I got Eli Manning this year. I'm stoked. Adrian Peterson. You could set your pre-draft queue back in the day on NFL Fantasy, and you could hope to get the players that you want in order. So yeah, I'd say since 2010 probably. So going on 14 years playing fantasy. More years I've been playing than I haven't been playing.
Now, when it comes to your accolades, how many championships have you been able to win? Because usually with some people, some of them are in 10 plus leagues. So even though they say, "Oh, I've got 30 championships," well,
Yeah.
you play in 10 leagues per year, and you've been playing this for 30 years. So it's is 30 really that impressive? Where are you compared to how many leagues you're actually in, kind of per year?
So I think we all have some leagues that we play in that are kind of just for fun, through work or something, that never really get too serious. We used to play in a work league that was girls and guys playing, and the girls didn't know what the heck was going on. And there's
no.
6 or 8 teams, and it's just super uncompetitive, just for fun. So I don't really count those, but serious leagues, in terms of serious leagues every year, probably in 3 to 4 that I actually really care about. I don't think my winning percentage is that crazy high. Honestly, that league that I was talking about, my family league, that I'm far and away the most knowledgeable when it comes to fantasy football. I've never once won the league. I've come in second, 4 or 5 times in the span of 14 years, but never once came in first. Then I started getting into the one in high school, Young Men's Prayer Club, the redraft league that we're in. I've won that one.
You're in, I'm not.
Just once, huh?
I said you're in, I'm not.
Yeah, James isn't in that one.
No.
I joined James's league a couple years later, so this was my main competitive money league for a while. And I said money league, it was always talking about this one. But I only won that one once. I think it was the second year that we officially got 12 teams and started going serious with it. Came in second the first year, maybe, then won the next year, something like that. I also came in second last year, pretty disappointing, but it is what it is. So honestly, besides that, I can't say I have too many championships won, but it's a running accolade of mine to note that people know about me, that I always have the most points scored more times.
I was gonna say it always happens, but when you need it the most, it's not there, huh?
There's a dilemma that
Funny how that works.
A scenario back in Young Men's Prayer Club where I had the most points scored in the entire league, and I missed the playoffs because at the time we were still finding the sweet spot of whether or not we the tiebreaker of head-to-head, or if we points for. And that year we had switched it to head-to-head record. So I had tied my overall record with someone else, and they had beat me in the regular season, so they got the spot over me. And so I was just absolutely livid. That's actually went in my notes app immediately, and I wrote a reminder to quit fantasy football next year. I was telling myself, I know it's gonna roll around, I'm gonna be excited about it again, but I'm telling myself right now I have to quit. This is awful for my mental health, that I just had the best team in fantasy and I don't even have a shot in 6-man playoffs to win the chip. It was pretty frustrating, but yeah, lo and behold, here I am, 7 years later, still playing fantasy football because I can't get away from it. It's just so fun. And so that's actually my profile picture across paper, is a screenshot of my note saying reminder to quit fantasy football, and it's time stamped with I don't know, 2017-ish, something like that. So it's pretty funny. But yeah, so that's always me. I always like I've won the most points for trophy more times than not in redraft, and everybody kind of knows that about me. They know I might not win it all every year, but I feel like I'm pretty stacked when it comes to putting a competent team out there. Just kind of bad luck every now and then.
And I mean, that's just kind of what happens once you get into the fantasy playoffs. Looking at this league specifically, this Dynasty League, Halfway Crooks, the league that you created, that you're the commissioner for, when it comes to the structure, not necessarily the point scoring, we can maybe get into that later in your thought process behind there, but this one's a little bit interesting because I know for a while, it's now more mainstream the way you've structured it, but for the most part, whenever I was still doing my league, like I'm still doing it, but I've kind of adopted your process because the way you have it is one quarterback, of course, two running backs, three receivers, a tight end, two flex spots, and then a super flex. So, of course, you're going to have an option to put a second quarterback in your starting lineup. So you have 10 starters doing 15 bench, 5 IR, 5 taxi squad. What was the thought process behind going through all of that?
I'd probably watched a video of my favorite fantasy football creators giving an hour long spiel about why you should start a dynasty league and how fun that they have with it, and what settings you should use if you should start it. And I pretty much went verbatim with what they had going on with the roster spots, probably about 30 total. Taxi squad, and always cool to include some practice squad guys that wouldn't sniff your team regardless if they had to take up a spot on your team. But I think the most unique thing at the time was Superflex, because none of my friends had played that either before. It was my first time doing a Superflex league, and also a lot of my friends from redraft, it was always one quarterback. So that was a cool thing to implement. I think that's like the perfect, everybody across the league in Dynasty seems to think we nailed it, like with our settings. Like James said, it's pretty, it's like the default now, but I love it. That was my first tight end premium league, first Superflex league, and first Dynasty league. So, it's kind of stepping into unknown territory a little bit for Superflex, but we were all kind of in the same boat, not knowing the value of how everything was going to shake out. So I'm loving it so far. They always said like once you like go Superflex, you can't go back, and it's kind of true. Going back to like
it is pretty true at this point.
Yeah, we kept one of our redraft leagues with one quarterback, since that's what it's been forever. And I mean, I guess it was different since it almost like flipped completely. That I have a couple Superflex leagues, including redraft, and I'll have one single quarterback league now. So it's cool to see like the different values switch. And I mean, I firmly believe it's like the superior way to play, because it's tough playing single quarterback and seeing like fringe QB2 guys sitting on the waiver that like could be putting up numbers every week. So it really devalues like the most important position on the field in real life, in the quarterback position. So I think the Superflex has been an awesome addition. That's been my favorite addition in terms of the league for sure. Like when we first started, like I wouldn't change that if I had to change anything. So.
Now, when it comes to the structure of your team, because we have the 10 starters and we have the 15 bench, this is now getting into year 3 of our Dynasty League. So when it comes to the startup draft, whenever you were first drafting your initial 30 guys, you went Justin Herbert early on. He's still on your team, and as of right now, it's Herbert, Bijan Robinson. You picked up Joe Mixon. You recently were able to get Marvin Harrison Jr. and Malik Nabers. You got Brandon Ayuk, Michael Mayer, Zay Flowers, Jalen Warren, and CJ Stroud as your starting lineup. What was your strategy kind of going into that initial startup draft?
Well, crazy thing is, I kind of went win now immediately, and I'll pull up my team that I had. I kind of just looked at it before we hopped on. I have barely any players that like started on my team when I first drafted that are still here today. I knew I wanted to start with a quarterback. That was something I wanted to hammer home early, was getting locking up a franchise guy that I'd be on my team for 10, 15 years, as long as he like stayed fantasy relevant. I was at the 4 spot, so I think so. James had pick number 1. Jamar Chase went off the board.
Yeah, it took Jamar. I know usually you want to just take the quarterback because it's the most steady, and because of how quarterbacks are protected nowadays, they usually last the longest. But for me, I guess since I'm an LSU guy and I like seeing LSU guys succeed, it was between Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase. But I know a lot of people
You picked the wrong one, by the way.
they lean towards Justin Jefferson, but for me as a wide receiver guy, I just felt like Jamar is the better overall receiver. And plus, for the longest time, Jamar's had a better quarterback to work with. So to me, it made sense, even though you usually go with a quarterback. For me, getting my receiver that I was going to stick with through thick and through thin, I wanted to have that cornerstone because I could always just find another quarterback. There's one that's going to pop up that could be the next generational guy, like a CJ Stroud that could come up in these upcoming drafts, and then I don't have to pay high for him. I've now got the receiving core plus the young QB, get some running backs, and still have a stud tight end and be able to compete.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a viable take. Like I think at the time we all were like super stunned by it, but because like there was I mean there's got he the first overall pick. There's guys like Mahomes and Josh Allen.
Oh yeah, Josh Allen
but,
was expected to go number one.
Yeah, I mean, but you look at it now, and honestly, you'd have more luck going hit up Raheem, try to get Mahomes off his team, than hitting up Dalton for Justin Jefferson. Like there's certain guys that are just locked. And it seems like those, 3 to 4 to 5 top 5 receivers in the league are just completely locked to a lineup. And as hard as you try to get them off, like you can offer them, 3 first-round picks, which is kind of what it would take to get into the talking range of a Mahomes or a Stroud right now. So honestly, our league is very receiver-driven. So it's usually like quarterbacks you'd assume, but honestly, I feel like the receivers have the high-end receivers definitely have a more value than the high-end quarterbacks in our league. Maybe not like 1-to-1, but in terms of like proportionally speaking, the receivers they hold their value for sure. So it ended up being a pretty good pick for James, and can't hate on him too much for it since Jamar is definitely a top tier asset still.
Yeah, at this point, and even though he's had a little bit of injury here and there, I mean, you just can't come off him because if Joe Burrow is going to be healthy and be a top 3 quarterback in the NFL. Plus, you have a top 3 receiver. Some argue he's top 5 or maybe just outside the top 5. To me, he's top 2. If you have that plus a top 3 quarterback, I just don't know how you miss. I think for me, because whenever I did the initial draft, I decided to go balls to the wall, and I traded my 2nd and 3rd round pick. So I had the 101. So I traded the 212 and the 301 with the aforementioned Hunter, who was at the 105. And you would think, oh, he's going to go Joe Burrow, right? I mean, it just makes sense. Have the stack. You're kind of throwing a lot out there, but if you just get the elite stack, you're good to go. No, I didn't do that. I decided to go with Kyle Pitts. He was kind of projected to go in the late first round. I noticed with a lot of people at startups back in 2022. And I thought, okay, well, we have another guy in our league that's huge on tight ends. And I thought, okay, well, let me try to cuck him. Let me try to hold him from not being able to have Kyle Pitts.
And he's talking about Micah there for everybody at home listening. You'll meet Micah later, but used to be the biggest tight end guy, literally
tight end university. That was his whole name.
Yeah, he's huge on tight ends. Always wanted to kind of corner the market. So James went up, and at the time that was 2 years ago. Kyle Pitts was definitely like tight end 1 in Dynasty across the board, and he just hadn't hit yet, but. That was after his rookie season?
Yes.
So yeah, he had just come off that was 1,000 yards, right?
It was only the 1 touchdown, and it was outside the US, but still the fact that it's tight ends.
He got 1,000 yards his rookie
year?
It
was close to. It was around that area.
800 to 1,000 somewhere right there. I feel like it was 1,000 because they talked about it pretty highly, like historically speaking. But I mean that ended up fading out. And Pitts is no longer on James' team, but he'd have been much better off. He might be in the driver's seat in terms of the league if he had taken a Joe Burrow there, or Jalen Hurts or something like that.
Oh man,
Lamar would have been a great pick right there.
That'd have been great. I mean, hindsight is always 2020. So,
yeah,
but I mean, it was interesting because at that point, I had traded Kyle Pitts, and you're thinking, okay, well, you have 2 first-round picks and you're trading one of them. At that point, the fact that his value had gotten pretty low because Desmond Ridder, you're like, well, this isn't a sustainable guy. When is an actual good quarterback going to go to Atlanta? And I just thought, okay, well, Hunter offered me 2 first-round picks in that upcoming draft in 2023, and even though they were later picks, they were the 107 and 108. It was definitely in the back half. It was either 107, 108, or 108,
108. Because I had 110, I think, and you picked right before me.
Okay, that's yeah. I knew it was in the back half.
Hey,
and
you hit 50% of those, I guess, and
right.
Kincaid ended up producing more than Pitts ever has, I feel like. So
yeah,
I mean, it kind of worked out as at the moment. We'll see what Pitts does with Cousins in a new situation, but
yeah. But the issue with that one was when it came to that draft, I had thought about it, and I'm a co-host for a sports radio show in our local area, and I had talked about how CJ Stroud should go number 1, and I think he is the guy to go for. If you're the Carolina Panthers, they obviously didn't end up doing that. They took Bryce Young, but CJ Stroud went number 2, but he was falling in our draft, and I just thought maybe he had a good chance of falling to me. Brandon decided to snag him before I did. And I mean, it was a great pick for him. And then because of that, I looked at the receivers on the board and I was like, okay, well, I could really use a tight end. I want to have a good young guy that I feel like is going to be there for years to come, and that's going to be on a good offense. And lo and behold, here comes Dalton Kincaid being drafted in the first round by the Buffalo Bills in that draft. So I was like, I will take him. And then I'm looking, I'm like, okay, we got a TCU wide receiver in Quentin Johnston.
All TCU receivers I've hit so far in the NFL. Let's go with this.
Oh yeah, that's a hit rate of 0.
Yeah, Jalen Reagor has been an absolute star.
He actually just got signed as the time of this recording. It was between him, Zay Flowers, but I was like, I don't know. It's really weird with Baltimore's situation. I know the history of small receivers don't usually work out. But I was thinking, okay, well, I saw Quentin Johnston ball out against Jim Harbaugh's Michigan defense, and he's going to play with Justin Herbert in Los Angeles, your quarterback. So I'm like,
yeah,
like I feel like this works out well, even though there's 2 guys in front of him, Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. You would think, okay, the thought process is he's going to have his time to shine, right?
Oh yeah, no, I agree. It's a good thought process, and we all give James, crap for it, but
yeah, I had to sell him for a second.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, he was lucky to get that. He kind of sold off the hype of Keenan Allen getting traded, Mike Williams getting traded or signed with the Jets. Anyway, that was the tier of Jordan Addison, Quentin Johnston, and Zay Flowers. Those 3 receivers in kind of the back half of the first, and I was at the 110. James had 2 picks ahead of me. I had them ordered Addison, Johnston, Flowers, and that's exactly the order they went off. Reed took Addison. I was hoping James would take Flowers and give me Johnston, but he took
because exactly because I was like,
no, I'll be the first to admit it. I definitely wanted Johnston to pair up with Herbert and just for the stack potential, and boom, got my boy Zay Flowers. So
now looking at your team, it's obviously really good because I mentioned a lot of good names. Obviously, Michael Mayer, he took a little bit of a drop after Brock Bowers got drafted by the Raiders.
In terms of the draft, he has to be one of the biggest fallers in terms of people that had a spot and got dropped off. Like we didn't see too many veteran running backs get usurped by some rookie no one really lost their spot except for Mayer. For sure, he lost his spot to Bowers, and there's been talk about Bowers, working more out of the slot. And being a very versatile tight end, and Mayer still being able to get some snaps from the inside, but we'll see. Mayer, I feel like he'll definitely be prioritized as a blocking tight end. He might get some receiving work every now and then, but they don't even have a viable quarterback to throw to him besides the stud Aiden O'Connell if they ever give him a chance to play. So.
Right. When it comes to the drafts, and we had our rookie draft recently, just the other day. What was your thought process going behind it? Because you had the 102, you had the 104, you kind of had to skip for a while, but you did have the 204, and you were able to pick up someone that you could say fell, depending on how you look at the actual draft capital. But what was your thought process? Because you had some elite draft capital overall, especially with how the draft fell, and even though guys in usual drafts you would think by the end of the second round they're not too good, and the second round picks don't become as valuable, but this is a deep class in 2024.
Yeah, definitely very stacked class. So even those early seconds and mid seconds became pretty valuable. They almost equated to late first in any other year. So it was nice to have the 204 sitting there. We talked about I got Marvin and Nabers pretty early at the 102 and the 104. So it was nice to get those guys. I talked about how I've been trying to trade, into the upper echelon like group of receivers like Jamar, Jefferson, Amon Ra,
CD Lamb.
CD. I've offered towards those guys plenty of times and been like, just told no immediately. So I was like, what the heck? Let's go try to get my own guys through the draft because you can't trade for them. So we'll see if Marvin Nabers shakes out and becomes like a true alpha and top 3. Hopefully that'd be a dream for me to secure. But yeah, I knew I wanted those guys for a while. Reed was throwing me some smoke screens at 101, claiming he was taking Marv for the longest time. But me and James went back and forth on that, and like, no, like there's no way. He's literally starting Jimmy Garoppolo right now. Like, he can't pass up.
There's no way you pass up Caleb.
But honestly, if they didn't surround him with like, I feel like the Keenan Allen trade was like the big thing that really swayed Reed to like 100% I'm taking Caleb. I feel like it really was 50-50 for a while for him there. He knew Marv was going to be generational, and we didn't know like Caleb's situation going into Chicago. This Fields had just crash and burn. But yeah, ended up going Marv Nabers, and then 204 I was lucky enough to have Penix fall to me. Ended up being one of the biggest values of the draft. So when you think about it, me and James made a trade recently. I sent Penix and a 26 third for his newly acquired 27 first and 27 second.
Cash those out right away.
So yeah, because I told him from the get go, I was like, I'm just gonna hold on to Penix. I have no desire. Like, he's best player available. He has the most insulation out of everybody right here. Like, I could have taken like a Ricky Pearsall or Xavier Legette, but I knew, that he wasn't going to be a ticking time bomb. He was he could not play for the next 2 years, and he'd still hold the same value that he holds today, because we know he's going to steal the field eventually, and I truly believe he'll be the franchise guy for the Falcons. So that was the plan, and it happened perfectly. I really thought Penix was going to go right before me, but I think it was Reed.
Yeah, Reed traded up.
I definitely thought he was going to Reed, but he took Adonai Mitchell, so I was really happy to see that pick flash up.
And it was funny because he made the trade to get up to 203, takes 80 Mitchell, and then 2 picks later trades with Micah because I was on the call with him at that point because I called you to try and trade up to 204 to take Penix because you had talked about it before. And I was like, oh, he's going to take him. But while you did that, and I was waiting on you to actually make the pick, I got on the phone with Reed, and he had said, I instantly regretted this. I was like, how did you instantly regret it already? Because he had the 101, he had the 103, and then he had a couple of picks in the second round, and he had 4 third rounders. Like, he's definitely rebuilding, and we're gonna have Reed on in one of these upcoming episodes. But he talked about how at the 101 he took Caleb Williams, and then he went for the stack by taking Rome Odunze. And you and I had a conversation as well, and I was like, because it was me, you, and him all on the couch over there watching the draft live, and he was like, I'm going to trade up to 3 because he had the 106 and the 112 initially, and he traded those 2 plus another pick to move up to the 103, and he traded with Josh, which Josh almost never trades because it's almost impossible to get in contact with him. Love you, Josh. But he does that, and we had the conversation of, is he actually going to take Rome Odunze? Because he told us straight up in the middle of that couch right there, he said, I'm going to take Rome Odunze for the stack. And you and I talked about it, and you're like, timestamp this. He's taking Jaden Daniels at the 103.
Yep, I texted James a couple days before the draft, and I said, screenshot this right now. He's taking Jaden Daniels at the 103.
And I screenshotted your screenshot when that was proven.
I thought I was about to get exposed, but I honestly did not mind. If I was at the 103, I was Reed's managing Reed's team. I'm taking Jaden Daniels there and building my core through Caleb and Jaden. But hey, what do I know? I don't run the Sanchez. I don't run I don't know what
No,
his
you
name is.
don't.
BBSP.
No,
I guess
you.
he's probably had the longest naming with.
Yeah, and we had,
Longest tenure name from Reed has been
Yeah.
BBSP, so we're rolling with that.
I think he could guess what it means, but big ball, small pee, as it goes.
Hey, Rome's a great player, so I can't.
Yeah, I don't think it was a bad pick, and I had talked about it before, and then later on he texted me. He's like, "Are you trying to call me again to tell me that I screwed up again?" But it was interesting because I had conversations with you as well with that 104. I was like, well, say Rome Odunze actually gets taken 103. Are you going Marvin? Or are you going Malik Nabers? Or are you going Jaden Daniels? Because you had talked about how Malik Nabers was your guy because
I met him, and
so basically you got to meet him.
I'll say he's a patient of mine. I won't say what field we were in, but yeah, Malik was a patient of mine, so it was cool to draft him and have a picture with him. So.
Right. So it just felt like it was that special connection, but value-wise, and you're a big value guy. Like if someone falls, like how Michael Penix studied in the second round, I thought, okay, well, is he? It was kind of that tear between, do you go with the guy that you kind of now have that emotional connection with because you met him in person, or do you go with the value guy that was supposed to go at 103?
Yeah, no, that was definitely tough. Because last year I did the same thing. I didn't want to pick Sroud, and I took him, and it turned out for the better. You know, at the time I had Justin Herbert and Justin Fields last year, and they were both like Fields was smashing at the time. So I didn't want to take Stroud, but he kind of fell, and Gibbs got taken before. That's who I was kind of going for, and that turned out well. So I was like, it's coming up, and Daniels was there, and I'm like, man, I want to take Nabers, but when I'm on the clock, am I going to be able to like pass up Jaden Daniels, who like, you know, could very well be top 5 based off his like rushing upside next year when we look at it. So I went with Nabers just because you got to build through the guys you like, and at the end of the day, and you want to have a team of guys filled with players you're fans of, and I'm a bigger fan of Nabers than I am Daniels. So that was the mindset there. But in the past, definitely I've gone BPA, so I kind of switched up here. I know last year I took Charbonnet in the second just because he fell. I didn't even want him. I knew he was trapped behind Kenneth Walker, but he was like projected to be a late first last year. So fell to me like early second. I smashed him, and I don't know, we're still waiting on him. But yeah, that was my mindset behind Nabers. So.
And then I'm kind of curious, when it came to looking at the draft, was there anyone that stood out that you thought, wait, it took this long for him to actually get drafted? Like not in real draft for our dynasty.
Yeah,
draft.
so like in terms of who I think was like the best value pick. Let me kind of run through it again. Let's see.
Because there was quite a few guys. I know that Luke McCaffrey, I know he doesn't have a high grade on him, but he still ended up being taken in the 3rd round. The fact that he didn't get taken till the end of the 3rd by Dalton, I think that one was a big shocker.
Yeah.
As an example.
I mean, I don't think he'll ever be anything relevant. So like when I'm thinking of best value, I'm thinking of anybody in the first that kind of fell a little bit, or early second. I think the best value could end up being Ricky Pearsall. I think Raheem got him at the 2.7. And, that's a first-round receiver. We never really see first-round receivers fall that far. And all it takes is,
Slick Rick.
One trade from Debo or Ayuk to get out of town, and boom, in a Shanahan offense, and he's just impossible to cover, being, pre-snap motion and stuff like that with how quick he is. So I think that could definitely be a value pick. First round was kind of chalk. We had Brian Thomas Jr. go late, Ladd McConkey go late. I'd probably give the second best value pick to Bo Nix at the 2-2, I believe it was.
Yeah, it was 2-2 by Hunter.
Yeah, Hunter took Bo Nix at the 2-2. I knew he was taking, he had the 2-2 and the 2-3 before he traded the 2-3 to Reed after taking Bo Nix at the 2-2. I knew he was going at least one of those quarterbacks because Nix and Penix were both still sitting there. So I was going to take whatever one fell, hopefully that he didn't take both of them. And he didn't. So Bo Nix, I mean, at the 2-2, that's a starting quarterback immediately in a Sean Payton offense. 13th overall pick, what it was
number
Nix?
12.
He was 12?
Yeah, it was,
Oh, he was 12. Okay.
it was 12.
Yeah, 12th overall pick in a Sean Payton offense. And, I don't credit Sean Payton for Brees' success. It's all Brees, really. But, you can't argue with having Sean Payton as your head coach over.
What do you mean, dude? He's an offensive genius. He's the smartest man in the room.
He's a great offensive coach. But, we kind of give too much credit to the head coaches sometimes, and I'm not going to give him all the credit for Brees' amazing career. Like, you got to give the majority of it to Brees for sure. So
now, when it comes to the comparison of where your team first started with the startup draft till now, you've obviously made some moves. You've made some trades with guys. I mean, let's talk about a couple of them, because you've been able to make some good deals, and you've been able to acquire quite a few assets, whether it's actual players or first-round picks, because you don't lack first-round picks.
No, I think I have the most in the league right now with a pretty decent starting lineup to field. So pretty proud of that. But yeah, I was looking at my starting lineup, like I said earlier, and my whole team that I drafted from the startup draft. I have 5 players still on my team, and we drafted 30 maybe total. Those 5 players are Justin Herbert, Khalil Herbert.
Yeah, you love yourself some Khalil Herbert.
Drew Lock, Keontae Ingram, and Jerick McKinnon. So
only one of them is relevant.
Yeah, 3 or 4, pretty much 4 of those guys are irrelevant. I do think Drew Lock's going to push for the starting job this year, but that's another topic for another day.
Not in front of Danny Cornhole.
Yeah,
that's only my QB3.
Yeah. Who would have known that the Nabers lock stack would just feed generations to come?
This is going to keep you in contention. Who would have thought, after going from Denver to Seattle to now New York, he's taking over the Big Apple.
Anyway, I had a really good starting lineup. I thought whenever I first started, I went running back heavy for sure. I had like Pollard, Kamara, Dalvin Cook, Saquon Barkley. Really good like paper champion type lineup, and ended up going like
you're big on those paper champions.
Oh yeah, big paper champions. They put us up against anybody on the stat sheet, and we're whooping them. But ended up losing 3 in a row. Everybody was, this is our first year playing, so everybody's like, "Oh, what you gonna do? Like rebuild? Keep contending?" Nobody really knew like the cycle of when to,
Yeah, we were all rookies. We were all rookies at that point, except for Hunter, because I think Hunter had done like
I think
2 or 3 other Dynasty leagues to this point. So he was like the only veteran of the 12 of us. So it was like everyone was still trying to figure out what to do, because you could watch a couple of YouTube videos and be like, "Oh, okay, cool, I got the strategy down." But it's like you still have to dip your toes in the water to like actually see what it's like before you can actually say, "Oh, this is easy."
Yeah, here we are all watching, go and search up Fantasy Footballers Dynasty. We're all watching the same video, thinking,
"Oh my God, Flock Fantasy has this guy here." Say less.
I'm ahead of the league by knowing this. Yeah, I mean, I ended up going 0-3, then 0-3 turned to 0-4, and then everybody was like, "Oh, what's he gonna do?" Everybody was trying to get my players off me already, and I was like, "All right, one more loss, no, I'm done. I'm selling for sure. Like I'm going the other way." Lo and behold, I went 0-5 with a crazy good lineup in my opinion, and just had some really bad luck. And I'm like, all right, 0-5, you probably got to almost win out to have a good shot to make the playoffs at this point, or basically win out. So went the other way and started selling and rebuilding through. I'm always big on rebuilding through like quarterbacks first, since they have the longest shelf life. Receivers second, and then you get some win now running backs. You get add any veterans to your team for some cheap picks, and you can go win the league. So that's what I started doing. Built through Herbert and fields at the time, and that's pretty much my philosophy.
Was there a trade that maybe you look back at and you're like, why did I make that? Why did I? Because I know there's been quite a few trades in this league where you're thinking, is this guy a dipshit? Yeah. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, no, definitely. I feel like I actually don't have too many of those. I have more that I'm very proud of than I have those that I'm embarrassed about. But of course, I made some bad ones. I think recently I made one, like I acquired Michael Mayer, I think, for, I think I sent Ty Chandler in the 210 to Hunter for Michael Mayer. And at the time, I was excited for it. I really thought Mayer was going to stay the starter, but
he's that guy.
Raiders
he's the future.
Took Brock Bowers and just completely pushed Michael Mayer out of existence. So that ended up being, the 210 was close. It was a pretty relevant pick this year. I feel like it was maybe almost Jalen Polk. I think maybe Hunter threw Jalen Polk at the 2.8, 2.9. So almost got a first round receiver with that 210, and I spent it on Michael Mayer, who's could be nothing. We'll see, but that one comes to mind recently. I know that we talked about the Justin Fields. That's been one of the biggest trades in Halfway Crooks history. I received like Justin Fields in a second. Like the fact that I got a second on top of everything was the funniest part. Because I think I traded away a couple of old guys like Kirk Cousins, Allen Robinson, and a third maybe one other, nobody, and got Justin Fields at the time, who was really struggling a couple years ago in the first couple games. And it's like the minute I got Fields, boom, he smashed and went crazy.
Just sold him right then and there.
Yeah, after that, I thought I had like a franchise guy in Fields, and I really
you had a whole Justin Fields jersey.
Yeah, I definitely got a Fields jersey. I'm still a Justin Fields fan. I hope he does great in Pittsburgh. But that trade, we all made fun of Landon for the longest time for how much value he lost on it. But
I can't wait to have Landon on.
At the end of the day,
that's going to be hilarious.
Right, it will be a good time for sure. At the end of the day, Fields is worth a late second, maybe an early third right now. And Cousins is worth more than that as a starting quarterback for the Falcons. And Cousins smashed last year. So it looked like Landon lost the trade at first, and everybody talks about how it's one of the worst trades ever. But looking back on it now sitting where Fields is at, lost the starting job. It wasn't that bad of a trade. And I almost feel like Landon got the better side. And now he's got the most valuable asset in the trade with Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, because he got Kirk Cousins, Robert Woods, and Allen Robinson. So those were two throwaway receivers. And you would got Fields in that 2023 second.
Yeah.
You mentioned how you don't have a lot of trades that you feel like were bad ones. Like even then, I still don't think that was a bad trade, because with the whole situation that you were in with Justin Fields earlier in the offseason, you still got a first for him.
Yeah. I was clamoring to get Fields off my team for a second there, which hurt.
Blowing up my phone.
Hurt like hell. Yeah, I was definitely hitting up James because he was kind of biting on him. But I really wanted to get a first for him. I was willing to add 2 Fields to get to a first, because I felt like that's what he was worth. Because at one time I was like, dude, Fields is smashing right now, putting up 40 points a game. I wouldn't sell him for anything less than 3 firsts. So I knew he would come down in value, and I'm like, all right, I could be holding an absolute dead asset in a couple of days. This was in the off season before like all the trades were going down and stuff. I definitely thought he was going to get a starting job somewhere, but I was like, let me get the more liquid asset in terms of a pick before he gets dealt to a team and in a situation where he's not the starter. And exactly what happened. I ended up getting a first from Reed. So what did I add to that? Do you have that trade in front of you? I think it was Fields in a third, maybe, for a first.
No, it was just straight up.
Just Fields for a 20.
Yeah, 2025 first, and I believe it's mine.
Yeah, which James' team's looking stacked now after his recent blockbuster trade. But
Well, it was funny because Dalton the first 2 years, I actually helped Dalton with his first 8 or 9 picks.
Yeah,
to help set his foundation.
So say.
Oh, he was here first.
It was funny. Dalton some credit on it,
Well, he had asked me, because he was like, I didn't do any research. Like, all right, what do you think? Like Justin Jefferson or this guy? And I was like, get Justin Jefferson. Like, and because he picked 107 or 108, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, I'd already made the trade and got Kyle Pitts, and I'll be honest, I was instantly regretting that pick at that point. So I was like, well, I missed out on the opportunity to get Joe Burrow and Justin Jefferson. And Joe Burrow went 106 to Cole because Cole's a big LSU guy. So I looked at him. I was like, Dalton, you're an LSU guy. Just take Justin Jefferson. And he's like, you're right. Yeah. And then the second round came and he was like, who do I take? Because he would ask me like 2 to 3 guys. He's like, which one should I take? And I was like, if it were me, I would take Trevor Lawrence, because you need to have that QB. Because I was going to do that, but I got rid of my second and third. So I was I was grasping at straws by the time I got quarterbacks. So I was like, take T-Law. He's 22 years old. He's supposed to be a generational guy because he's been like the guy since middle school. So I had kind of helped him there. And then he's gotten second in both years. He lost to Josh in year 1, which is insane. And then Hunter went from I'm trying to tank to well, I got Bijan and Jameer,
Yep.
so I'm all in.
I know
And then he won.
Yeah, Josh was the sixth seed the first year too. Was Hunter either fifth or sixth seed? I think
Yeah.
he was fifth.
If you have a bye, you're screwed.
Yeah, so nobody with a bye has ever won Halfway Crooks fantasy league. If you get a bye, you're losing. That's a fact.
Oh no! Fuck! I'm getting a
don't
bye
don't
this
ever
year.
get a bye.
I'm getting
But,
I'm gonna sabotage my lineup to get
Yeah.
third place.
Yeah, crazy enough, sixth place and then fifth place ended up winning all in terms of seeding before the playoffs.
But he at that point he texted me the other day, like Saturday we had done the draft, and I was just asking him like, what do you want for Daniel Jones? Because I wanted to give him like a third, because I'm not giving him a second for Daniel Jones at this point, because his value was so low, and I was like, well, let me just buy low on him, and hopefully he'll still be something, and then potentially I can move on from him depending on how he does this upcoming season. But then he was like, you want to win? I was like, I mean, yeah. He's like, all right. Then he sends me a trade for like a first and 2 seconds for Christian McCaffrey and Daniel Jones. And I was like, well, I could use a receiver. And he's like, all right, you want Calvin Ridley or Christian Kirk? And I'm like, who do you think I want? So he's like, all right, I got you. And he sends me Christian Kirk, and he's like, give me another second. I'm like, all right. Oh, wait, hold up. Actually, take Isaiah Likely instead of one of these seconds. And then we were able to get the deal done. So now my team was looking all right. Like it was kind of like a fringe. Do I get the 5 or 6 seed, or do I miss out and get 7th again? Because I think I've gotten 7th. I got 7th last year because Landon just beat me out.
Yeah.
And then I think I got 9th or 10th in year 1 because my team was terrible. But now with this trade, it looks a lot better. But with these trades, what would you say of all the good ones that you had, which one was the best? Because you got Garrett Wilson for relatively cheap, and then you flipped him and got Bijan, but then you've also made plenty of other trades with guys like A-Hopes, and you just swindled them.
Yeah. Honestly, I can't even remember the A-Hopes trade that ended up netting me the 102,
which was hilarious.
Which I think it actually came from Raheem, that pick. I think he got it from A-Hopes first, and then I got it back from him. At the time, I made a crazy trade with A-Hopes in the startup draft. I gave away my second round pick.
And he got Jalen Hurts.
It was a late second. He ended up getting Jalen Hurts, so it ended up like being a great pick for him. But I got I think I got his third and his fourth, maybe. That's when I hammered running backs. Like I hammered Saquon, Dalvin, and Kamara, who were kind of like in their prime still, like 26, 27 years old. So definitely thought I was going to get more like run out of them. But I thought that was a great trade at the time. I was proud of that one. But yeah, James talked about both trades involving Garrett Wilson are probably been my 2 biggest like nets in what I've gotten so far, and my favorite ones to date. That trade with Josh, year 1 was a huge blockbuster trade. I sent away all of my aging assets. I was trying to get all of them away at the same time.
Dalvin Cook, that was the big one. I gave away
McLaurin, Dalvin Cook, Hayden Hurst, maybe a pick or 2. Got back Garrett Wilson. Yeah, James can pull up the logistics on that, but that was a big one for me, and it helped Josh win. So it was like the most perfect trade in Halfway Crooks. I got a young, talented elite receiver to help me on my rebuild, got all my vets off and potential points off my roster, and we didn't go into this yet, but that's how we score the picks, and that's how we show the picks. We go by inverse max points for, so you can't really like tank unless you actually sell the guys.
Retries. Reed and A-Hopes are trying.
Yeah, you can't just like bench Justin Jefferson and think you're gonna get the 101 next year. No, you gotta. You can obviously pick some guys to build around. That's how Dynasty works. But you got to trade off your bench guys and your fringe flex guys that you think aren't going to help you in your rebuild, but you want to get them off and you want to make sure your max points for is as low as possible to get a good pick. Anyway, turned Garrett Wilson into to Bijan recently, and I was pretty proud of that one. I needed a hammer running back, and went to Hunter. He had Bijan and Gibbs, and he's like, dude, no one has ever came to me yet asking for these guys. Like, you're the first one. And I was like, dude, honestly, I was like, I guess I can see that. Like, you picked them both in the draft. Like, we kind of feel like they're your guys. Like, no one even thinks like you would trade them. They're that good. They hit that fast. But Hunter's always willing to trade. I feel like I'll give him that the props for that. Every guy on the team like has a price. Like he'll almost let go of anybody on his team, and I can't even say I'm on that level yet. Like I have guys on my team that I will not part with just because I love them so much.
And it's funny because you're a big Chargers guy. You're a Saints fan, but you're a Chargers guy because you like the uniforms, and you and I both like Justin Herbert.
But yeah, I love Herbert. So.
You and I both love Herbert, and that's why you took him with your first round pick. But it was kind of one of those things where even though you say, "Well, I'm not going to trade him," you've offered him to me a couple of times before.
Yeah, I talked about it. Definitely would have to get an elite asset in return, like a Jamar Chase. Otherwise, I wouldn't even consider it.
Which is completely fair.
Yeah, and I don't think I would make a trade like Herbert or Stroud, like straight up liquidating them for first, like 3 to 4 first. Like, yeah, it's probably value. 4 first isn't okay, honestly. Like you're getting fair value for it, but it's still tough to send them away. Like you have no idea what those firsts are going to be. They're wild card. They all could be early and be like crazy good. What a good trade you made. You got
Malik Nabers, Marvin Harrison Jr. and Rome Odunze.
101 in 2025. You got Carson Beck to instantly replace Justin Herbert, and
or
then you got
Shadur.
3 more guys, or you get the 110 through the 112, and that's who you got for Justin Herbert. So you blew up your team for nothing. But
yep.
I definitely was considering it recently if I had to draft Caleb Williams. That's whenever I was thinking Reed was going to go Marvin at 101, and I was going to take Caleb Williams just based off of value at 102. I was going to shop either Herbert or Stroud to send them away for an elite receiver, and I was going to be okay with that. So.
Yeah, and looking back at the trade, it's so funny. The one with you and Josh, you sent Dalvin Cook, Hayden Hurst, Terry McLaurin, and a 2023 third for Garrett Wilson, and then you got a first out of it.
Did I really?
Yes, you got a 2023 third or first.
Honestly, I swindled Josh, but not really because he won the league that year. So
I was gonna say he lost the trade, but he won the chip. So it's like, who cares?
Exactly, that's the perfect way to put it. So you can't knock him on that at all. But I don't even know if Dalvin Cook and McLaurin ended up helping him that much, but it worked out. So
I think Dalvin had still kind of helped him to that point. I know Jonathan Taylor was the big point of it all.
I think Dalvin was hitting some hit or miss weeks that year towards the end, and McLaurin was kind of the same way, putting up 20 every couple games.
Well, what have you thought through the process as we've gotten throughout the first 2 years and we enter year 3? What have been your overall thoughts on how this league has evolved? Because it feels like we kind of were babies. We didn't know what we were doing, but it feels like all of us have grown a lot over these last 2 years, and we've become a lot more knowledgeable when it comes to Dynasty because we were so used to that redraft mindset. But now that we've gotten through it and we've done rookie drafts, it feels like we have a better understanding of how to attack a draft and how to actually manage a team.
Yeah, definitely. We've all gotten pretty knowledgeable. There used to, I feel like at first you could tell who were like the elite managers and they were making like really like savvy trades. But now like everybody's kind of,
Seth used to look like a genius.
Yeah, they'll make some bonehead trades every now and then, but a lot of us are kind of on the same playing field nowadays. So it's been cool to watch everybody kind of get a little bit smarter. Every bonehead decision you make in trade, you get a little bit smarter from it, and you're not going to do that again. So it's been really cool. It's been cool to see everybody evolve and become some good dynasty managers.
Is there anyone that you look at right now and you're like, bless your heart? Because I think there's a couple of candidates for that bless your heart.
I mean, A-Hopes gets the bless your heart award, of course, just because he is in the gutter right now.
Poor guy.
But
he's got Jalen Hurts and he's holding on to him.
Yeah, there's things I would do with his team, but I'm gonna let him run it the way he wants to run it, and he's definitely been on the upswing lately. Like he knows what he needs to do, and he's slowly doing it, like getting rid of all his players. He saw the success Reed just had and securing the 101. Does he have his? He doesn't have his 25 first. I think Hunter has it, so he'll have one more year of being in purgatory until he can actually like control his own destiny with his own first round pick, unless he somehow gets it back from Hunter. But
no shot he does that.
Yeah, I don't think Hunter would
no way.
To him
I think the only way he would do that is if he trades Jalen Hurts to Hunter.
Which that's exactly what I would do if I had A-Hope's team. I know Hurts is an amazing asset, and you don't want to part with him, but being that you have almost nothing on your team, I would split him, and try to get a couple firsts out of it. And you hit on those first, and boom, you got enough value for Hurts right there. So that's what I would do.
Now, looking at this upcoming season, and obviously it's only May, and the season doesn't start till September, but looking at the current construction of the league, who would you say the top 3 guys are that have the best chance of winning this year?
Okay, it's hard to not talk about the favorites without saying Micah, just because his team is straight vets. But then he also added a good bit of rookies this year that could end up contributing. Say those vets go down, he put them on his taxi squad. He's got Brian Thomas Jr. He's got Ladd McConkey. Maybe one more guy. Adonai Mitchell, which I'm not a big Adonai guy, but anyway, those guys could definitely help down the stretch in case guys like Cooper Kupp go down or Keenan Allen go down. So we'll see. He's got a pretty good team. He's been up there every single year in terms of points scored and doing well in the playoffs. So I think he's up there. I think Seth was fading, and then he put himself back into contention
with that Mark Andrews trade.
Yeah, the Mark Andrews and Tyreek Hill trade. He sent a haul for it, but definitely much needed for him. He's been punting tight end for a while, and you got Mark Andrews and a consolation prize and Tyreek Hill to go along with that. So I would say I definitely have Micah and Seth in there, just because Seth can ride his quarterbacks for a long time.
His quarterbacks
Jackson
are
and Josh
insane.
Allen. Third, I mean, you can always have a dark horse candidate like another Hunter to win it, but I don't think Landon's getting in there this year. I think he's fallen. His team is right on the verge of collapsing.
One injury and he's done for.
Yeah, like Kelsey freaking sprains his toenail and Landon is out of the playoffs.
Taylor, come help me.
Forever. I guess he didn't trade Kelsey when he had a chance, but
he had a chance. I gave him a chance at the draft, and he didn't do it because I told him. Because you had offered him a first, Michael Penix, Aiden O'Connell, and a fourth for that 2-10 pick that he had. Yeah. Because it was coming up on that pick that Saturday night, and Travis Kelce. And I was like, are you not going to do this? Because I will instantly offer you some good stuff for Michael Penix.
Yeah.
And he just kind of sat on it, and then I just texted you on Sunday, and I was like, the draft is over. Let's get it done.
Yeah. Hey, James knows now he can trade Penix to Landon. He's always got a suitor in Landon for Penix.
Landon needs first-round picks, though.
Kinda. He also needs quality assets because his quarterback room is pretty in shambles. So.
Bryce Young.
Yeah.
And then,
unfortunately, Bryce
shout
Young
out to Sam Howell. We can talk about that Sam Howell trade.
That is the worst trade.
I might have to get Landon. I was thinking about getting Micah or Dalton or Alex Raheem because there's 2 Alexes in this league. I was thinking about getting them next, but I feel like we just need to get Landon on because he's made some hilarious trades.
Yeah, definitely one of the worst trades ever, probably the worst.
It has to be the worst.
Seth was about to go into the Stone Age with his team.
And then he revived him. He found the fountain of youth.
Rolling out Chris Godwin every week. Then revived it with Tyreek Hill and Mark Andrews because he had some spare first lying around. But so yeah, that affected the entire league, that trade right there. And I didn't get into my third favorite, but I'd probably give it to James after the CMC trade recently. Honestly, that pretty much completely swings it from Dalton, who would have been in the top 3, to James, probably, I'd say. Because James' team was definitely middle of the pack before that, and then you get a Christian McCaffrey that'll put you into the top 4 easily. And so I think that'll be my top 3 right now. I'd probably put Micah number 1, Seth number 2, James number 3. What I'd go with.
Do you have any final thoughts?
Final thoughts?
Yeah, about the league. Did you want to bring up something before we sign off?
Wish the league would vote with me and change quarterback passing touchdowns to 5 points.
Oh my god!
This is a grown man's league. I sit in the pocket and it's a precision passing game that we're playing here. Let's
I don't know. We got Lamar Jackson. Caleb rolls out a lot.
I'm tired of
Jaden Daniels is about to be the next phenom.
Lamar Jackson being up there, he's good. He deserves it. But Justin Fields, I love Justin Fields, and he should not have been top 5 in scoring last 2 years ago, whenever he did that. just
When he ripped
strictly
up
because
like
he was
5 70-yard touchdown runs.
yeah, he was rushing for like 160 yards per game, 2 touchdowns. So I think the 5 point would be perfect. That's just my little spiel. I'm okay with 4 because that's what we started with. We'll end up saying with that.
I personally would. I wanted to say yes to the kick punt returns counting, because then you would have had even more value towards Justin Fields potentially, because apparently Pittsburgh has talked about having him do kick and punt returns. But I wanted extra value to Rashid Shaheed and guys that do kick returns.
I guess
and punt returns, especially with the new league rule.
We'll see how the league rule shakes out, if it even makes that big of a difference. Everybody's saying it will. I don't know. I'll have to see it to believe it. But
well, I had watched a couple of XFL games, and I was like, well, there's less opportunity for someone to die on the field and get a concussion because someone just ran 40 yards down the field, full sprint, and then just killed you.
Yeah.
It leads to that, and then it also gives the guys, it seems like, an opportunity to see the holes right away, because it's not like you're waiting for the guys from the 35 to get to the 15.
Yeah.
To like see, okay, well now we see how it is. Like the guys are within 10 yards of each other as soon as you catch the ball, so you can already tell where the holes are. So I think it's going to open up more opportunities for the guys that actually know how to read blocks based on kick returns.
Yeah, and that's the reason they're back there, is because they're so good at reading the blocks. So we'll see. Everybody loves a good kick return touchdown. So hopefully that puts more into the league. We haven't really seen too many of those lately. Who's your top 3 in the league? Who do you think's the 3 favorites right now? I'll ask you that.
I will opt to be humble and not say myself.
All right, respect.
I think the fact that Hunter went from I'm trying to tank and literally opened up and was like, I'm trying to have the worst pick possible, or the best pick possible, worst record, and then flipped it. And he just seems to it always feels like he profits for the most part on most of his trades. It's kind of like with you, where it feels like he doesn't really make bad deals for the most part. Like every once in a while, obviously someone does, and you're like, oh, you made that.
Yeah, and most of the time it's just like a personal preference when you think.
Right, and everyone has different rankings, but I would say the fact that Hunter has worked out really well, I would say a surprise. I think I just have to put Seth. I know Seth, his playoff luck is terrible.
0 for 2.
Yeah, he's awful.
I think don't fact check me on that, but usually 0 for 2.
I think Seth's team is dog shit, but he finds a way. His quarterbacks carry him.
Yeah, I think Cole can almost work his way up there, but
yeah, Cole's actually a lot closer than I want to admit.
I feel like he's just a solid like playoff team. Like he's gonna lock to make the playoffs. I don't know if he's like top 3 to start the year in terms of power, but got one of like the youngest rosters in the league. I remember looking at that one time when like key trade cut, like youngest average starting lineup, and just absolutely smashed Brock Purdy and been rolling ever since.
Oh my God, the Brock! He just picked him up off of waivers, and he's like, "Well, now I got him," because he was the one who ended up with Jaden. He's got Joe Burrow. He's still got Travis Etienne, and I mean, his other running back is Nick Chubb.
Yeah, that was unfortunate last year for that to happen. Otherwise, Cole could have made a run for sure.
But he's got 2 absolute studs at wide receiver in Amon-Ra and AJ Brown. So
yeah, exactly.
Even though his bench depth isn't the greatest, because guys like Damian Pierce and now James Conner are about to become irrelevant for the most part, he's still got other solid guys. So I feel like he could be the third option, but I think I just have to put Alex Raheem in there. Because
I forgot all about Raheem. Yeah,
I think you have to put Raheem, because even though you want to say Micah, I've had a lot of talks with Micah, and he's very easily one move away from almost blowing it up and rebuilding, just like how Dalton is.
Yeah,
because he's got DJ Moore and Keenan Allen, which was working out 5 months ago, but now that Keenan Allen got traded to Chicago, and then they drafted Rome Odunze, it just doesn't look good, because you almost feel like you have the second and third option for Caleb Williams to throw to when it comes to as you look farther down the line, because Rome got picked.
Yeah, I mean, I think Rome immediately slots to the 3 there for a while.
As of right now, yes.
Yeah, but who's to say he doesn't blow everybody away in training camp? Highly unlikely that he comes out as like one of the top target getters on that team, but Keenan, we know his injury history and how old he's getting. He's still incredible and put up one of his best seasons ever last year, but I think he's bound to get hurt this year, and Rome's going to take it from there at the 2 spot for sure. So we'll see. But yeah, no, Raheem's team's stacked, and he just traded away Barkley and Mixon, and his team still looks good with Mahomes and Richardson. Like that's a crazy duo. There's some good receivers, and Evan Ingram just revival of his career out of nowhere.
And he did get some good guys from the rookie draft as well.
Yeah, he had a good draft.
He was able to get Xavier Worthy, so he's got he's got the stack.
Yeah, I realized I'm driving on the way here. I'm like, who got Worthy? I'm like, oh, Raheem. Oh, that's a stack. Wow, that could be amazing. Worthy fell out of the first round. That's definitely, we talked about value picks earlier. That's one of the best value picks. Worthy dropped it to the 201.
And I think with him, the fact that he was able to get Worthy, he got Ricky Pearsall, like he had mentioned. So he got 2 really good guys in the second round. And, I mean, it was a deep draft, so someone's bound to fall to you even if you have a late second, or at least the second half of that round. But then he took Kamani Vidal, which a lot of people have been talking about around fantasy spaces. So it wasn't a secret, and it almost feels like he kind of overdrafted him in a sense because a lot of people were taking him in the 4th.
Yeah.
And he got him in the late 3rd, but I would say he's got a really good team, a little bit of age because he still has Mike Evans, and Cortland Sutton doesn't feel like he's going to be one of those guys that's going to be there much longer. So, and then same thing with Dave Montgomery. It feels like those 3 are going to phase out, but it feels like he's still got a window to work with these next 2 years.
Oh yeah, there's the landscape of the league for anybody that doesn't know is there's a lot of people like trying to contend right now, and maybe like 2 or 3 obvious teams that are rebuilding, and usually like in the years past, I guess we see more like people get their identity throughout the year goes on, but usually I feel like it's been more of a pretty like solid even split, and right now there's so much saturation in terms of like contenders in the league. So we'll see how it shakes out. I'm sure everybody's gonna have more losses than they care to that they wish wish they had more wins.
What do you mean I went 8-7?
So. Yeah, what do you mean I went 1-5 my first 6 games with this team? Like it's gonna be a couple people that get unlucky and gonna be forced to make a decision early on what they do, like with their team and where they head. So
catfish.
Yeah,
Landon, you're a ticking time bomb.
Yep. I guess I have some questions for you just to kind of end it off on a happy note. What's your favorite uniform combo ever? Like your favorite kit?
Oh, okay.
NFL though.
NFL strictly.
Yeah.
I think one. Now that I think about it, I would have to say I forget the actual name of it, but it's the Bengals one where it's all white and it's got the tiger stripe on the shoulder pads.
They call it like the
one
icy,
the one that they were wearing for Thursday Night Football.
Yeah, no, that one's definitely one of the best ones we've seen in a long time. That's one of the newer ones too, but they call it like the Joe Burr, the Shiesty uniform.
Oh, it's absolutely phenomenal. I think off top, without having to put a whole lot of thought into it, I think that one's the best uniform overall.
Yeah, I'm looking up the exact year for it. But my favorite of all time is the Patriots throwbacks. They've been wearing.
You like the one where the Pat Patriot is hiking?
Yeah, I mean, not so much like the helmet's cool, but that color combo of like the bright red in your face, like on the shirt, the top, and then the white pants, and it's like red, white, and blue, perfect, the smoothest colors you've ever seen, and the white jerseys of those like look great as well. But I personally love the red Patriots throwbacks. I don't know what year it was that they.
I remember
1960.
Yeah, that's when they. That's
1993 maybe was when Pat Patriot came on. So 1993 almost.
Yeah.
Probably when they.
I remember Tom Brady. Like I remember there was a couple of games where they would wear them every once in a while back in the early 2010s. But I think the one that really stood out was that snow game. I forget who they played against, but they put up, I think, 45 points in the first half.
Oh.
And it was
the Patriots?
The Patriots in a snow game. It was Brady to Moss, and then someone else had caught a touchdown pass.
I think of Patriots and snow game, and I think of them not running a single pass play.
Against the Bills a couple of years ago. That one was hilarious.
Yeah. So, all right, and the last exercise to end it off. You have anything else to go, or we're pretty much good to sign off after this?
No, I mean, there's definitely a lot of talking points that I could go for, but I know we've gone for a while, and I also want to bring it up with other guys.
Yeah,
as well.
no, that's fine. We definitely had a good run right here. So we could play a game. Like I'll list a couple players, and you tell me whose team they're on.
Okay.
Just based off memory. Like no looking,
Okay.
and we'll see.
Shut off the computer.
Shut off all that access.
Okay.
So I'll give you like 3 to 5 guys, and I want to see how good everybody's memory is, because I feel like, dude, you can name any player, and like I'm drilling whose team they're on. Like that's how much I'm on this Sleeper app every single day, looking through like not everybody's teams, but you just come to have a good understanding over a couple years. Maybe if some guy got traded recently, that'd be a little bit harder to remember. But all right, let's kick it off. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Let's go with Dallas Goedert.
Dallas Goedert is on Hunter's team.
Got it. All right.
A-Hope's traded.
Oh.
A-Hope's traded it to Hunter, and that was
Sure
funny
did.
because Hunter for the longest time didn't have a tight end. He traded for Kyle Pitts from me, and I was like, sure.
And now Hunter's tight end you.
Yeah, no tight. Now he has only like 3 tight ends, but they're all fantasy relevant.
Yeah. All right, next one. Let me fact check this one real quick. All right, yeah. Luke Musgrave.
Is
second-year tight end out of Green Bay.
Yeah, I know.
Somebody
I know who he plays for in real life.
Yeah, no. I'm just telling the audience.
Luke Musgrave. Is he on Raheem's team?
No. He's on Cole's team.
He's on Cole's team?
Yep.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. It's on his taxi squad, isn't he?
Yep, sure is.
Yeah.
Sure is. Let's get another one in here. Let's go with Michael Gallup.
Is he actually on a team?
He is on a team.
He is on someone's team?
Recently acquired asset.
Oh, he's on A-Hope's team.
He sure is on A-Hope's team. Good job.
Yeah,
that's 2 for 3.
Because he saw that Gallup signed recently, and then like 2 hours later, I had already seen it, and I was like, well, I'm not signing. I'm not putting him on my team. And he was like, he just added him. It was hilarious.
I've been the biggest Gallup believer for so long. Whenever he had that season with the
he's good at
Cowboys.
Contested catches, but that's all he's good at.
He's exciting to watch. But I always thought he deserved like a more prominent role. He just couldn't stay healthy whenever he was in his prime. A-Hope's recently. No, he's pretty good. But A-Hope's scooped him up. Let's see. Let's do 2 more. See how much you get out of 5.
Sure. 2 for 3 so far.
Something really obscure. Let's see.
This guy's
all right.
This guy wants me to go deep in my bag.
Isaiah Spiller.
That's on Josh's team.
Sure is. What is that? 4 for 4?
3 for 4.
3 for 4.
I could lie and say I was 4 for 4, but
yeah,
we've got the audio or we got the video.
I was about to say 4 for 5. I knew you missed one. Let's go with Tutu Atwell.
Tutu. Who is Tutu on?
I think he's had 2 owners in the past. Let's see history. No, a couple owners. 4. He's on his 4th owner.
He's on his 4th owner. He's getting passed around like he's Denzel Mims.
Yeah, Denzel Mims, the most.
Denzel Mims
in history.
has infamously been on Brandon's team, I think, 7 times.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I love the talent, man.
He just something on tape. Something about him just stands out.
I think he was was he a 2nd-round receiver? I think he was a 2nd-round pick, something like that.
He was a failure. He sucks.
Yeah, right.
Tutu. I think you stumped me with that one. Is Tutu on Micah's team?
He is not. He's on your week 1 opponent's team.
He's
sharper than you.
Oh my God, he's on Seth's team.
Yep,
that's funny. Oh man.
All right, you want to rattle off some for me? You went 3 for 5. Pretty solid.
Yeah, sure. Who?
And James, what's the name of this podcast?
The Halfway Crooks Dynasty Cast.
Oh, that's kind of long. Couldn't we abbreviate that to something shorter?
Maybe like HCDC.
Whoa, that sounds pretty catchy.
Whoa, dude. Came up with
just
that
kind of
5 seconds ago. I know, right?
Off the tongue, HC. Let's put a little slash in between HC and then slash DC.
Pay homage.
Oh yeah, we can make some fire merch with that and coin that.
Who's got Donovan Peoples-Jones?
Dalton.
Yeah.
Snap pick.
Ooh, he's good.
No, there's gonna be somebody that I know you're gonna trip me up on, some crazy running back that hasn't played a snap in 3 years. Should have picked one of James's
You should have done one of my players.
And picked one of his own players. That'd have been hilarious.
No, I forgot who's on my team. Who's got Hunter Henry?
Reed.
Yeah. Hey, I'm a little disturbed at how fast you're getting these.
Those are kind of easy. I mean, so far. Until you rattle off Keontae Ingram or Ronnie Rivers.
I got one for you.
Blue.
Who has Jelani Woods?
Landon.
No.
Is it Reed?
No.
It's not Landon?
It's not Landon.
What? It's Indianapolis tight end?
Mm-hmm. He's the Indy tight end.
Who does Landon has one of the Indy tight ends? He's got
not that one.
Mixed it up.
Bucket Town.
Okay.
Raheem.
Okay, that was a good one. Can you go to Landon's roster? He has somebody on his taxi squad that's on the Colts, I feel like. Am I thinking of Kylan Granson?
You might be. I think you are, actually. I think you are thinking of Kylan Granson. He is...
Two absolute playmakers right there. Very relevant.
Oh, yeah.
It's Granson?
I don't even see him anymore.
Anyway, I don't know. But...
how about... Let's go with...
2 for 3. Let's see what we can do.
Yeah, right. Let's see if I can stump you again. Who's got Garrett Stidham?
Recently picked up? Oh, that's a tough one.
As of December 27th last year, yeah.
Okay. First thought was A-Hopes. I went to Reed. I'm going to stick with A-Hopes.
Nope.
What was it?
Micah.
Oh, Micah. Roster in the Stidmaster.
Oh, man.
Dang. Crashing and burning on my own game.
I know.
2 for 4.
This guy's ass.
Let's see if I can even beat James or tie James.
Yeah,
2 for 5 would be an embarrassment.
Who's got?
Comes the craziest name you've never heard of.
You're not ready for this one. Jalen Tolbert.
Oh, I know Josh drafted him. I don't know if he ended up parting ways with him.
Yeah, because someone could have easily picked him up because he's a young receiver.
Why do I feel like Josh dropped Jalen Holbert recently? I know that was his guy for a little bit. I'm going to be really upset if the answer is Josh. But I'm going with A-Hopes.
It was Josh.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Oh.
Who did he drop? He dropped the Cowboys receiver.
I don't know.
What the heck?
I'd have to look at his transaction history.
Dang. Anyway, 2 for 5. We definitely could have had a better.
He's ass at his own game. That's crazy.
Yeah. Hey, the game's gonna last a while. It's gonna be a hit.
I was gonna say, I feel like there's not many people that are gonna get more than 3.
Yeah.
Especially since I don't feel like people look at rosters as much as you and I do. Because I'll be bored and I'll just unconsciously click on the league and click at people's teams and be like, do I want this guy right now?
Yeah.
No. All right, I'll move on.
All right, I got one more for you. It's gonna be either you tell me if he's rostered or if he's on the waiver wire right now. So
okay,
50-50 shot. Let's see what you can do.
Sure.
Let's go with Royce Freeman. Is he rostered or is he on the waiver wire?
He's got to be on the waivers.
He's on the waivers?
Yeah.
No, he's on my team.
Why do you have Royce
Welcome
Freeman?
home, Royce Freeman. Dude,
why do you have...
Cowboys running back position is way up for grabs.
It's Deuce Vaughn season, dog. It's Deuce Vaughn season.
Everybody in the comments, if you made it this far, type "it's not Deuce Vaughn season" in the comments,
It's
please, because it is not Deuce Vaughn season.
It is 100% Deuce
Nobody
Vaughn
is
season.
handing the rock to a 5'5" midget out there. Dude.
I am 100%.
I'm tackling Deuce Vaughn. Deuce
No,
Vaughn,
you're not.
Meet me in the gap.
You were
gap.
You were
Deuce
gonna.
Vaughn.
You're done for.
No,
Deuce Vaughn
dude.
is fucking you up,
dude. I'm going so high on Deuce Vaughn that he won't have a head anymore. I'm absolutely putting my shoulder pad into that dude's neck. Deuce Vaughn, if you're watching this, hit me up, dude. You can arrange an Oklahoma drill anytime you want, dude.
That was like a Barstool guy that was like, yeah, I could tackle AJ Dillon. Like, no, you can't.
I'm realistic out here, but I can tackle Deuce Vaughn. If I was in a confined space with him, he's probably way faster than me. I'm not way faster. I'm pretty speedy, but if you give him room to make me miss, he's making me miss 100%. Any running back could. But you put me in a hallway with Deuce Vaughn.
We'll set up the cones.
You put me in a hallway with Deuce Vaughn, and he's getting tackled. Yep.
All right.
I'll stand by that.
You're so off, but go ahead. No. What's your next guy?
That was it, dude.
Oh, just that one?
You lost.
Yeah.
There's no redemption.
How does it feel knowing you lost the game?
Give me one. Yeah, you lost the game. We can do the what team is this player on, and then we go to waiver wire, and we go to waiver wire or rostered, and that's a one shot. You get one chance to prove you know the league. Let's see if I can beat you on this one.
Is Devontae Parker on a roster?
Ooh, good one. I'm gonna say yes.
He's not.
He's not?
I
for sure thought Micah scooped him up.
I think I had picked him up and then I dropped him.
No, I traded him to Micah. Yeah. So, yeah. Okay. Yeah, dang. Devontae Parker's out there. Guys, if you're listening to this, go scoop him up.
Yeah.
Pretty solid dude.
Guys,
he's on the Patriots?
Boys. No, he's on the Eagles.
Gosh, dude is a freaking journeyman.
Well, Commish, appreciate you coming on for the first edition
thanks
of
for having me, man.
HCDC.
Yeah, first time ever doing a podcast, so hope everybody enjoyed, and I'm excited to see everybody else what they talk about and how they like this one.
How much will we shit on Landon?
Yeah, we'll see.
A lot. How much will we shit on A-Hopes?
We'll see. Mike is going to come on here and drop every side bet that he ever had.
Yeah, I need him to uncover the side bets.
I have a
because
side
there's
bet
been
with
quite
him.
a few.
Yeah, he always doesn't like to expose.
How dare you?
Takes.
How dare you not talk about DJ Moore in a good light?
Yeah, he doesn't like to air out the side bets that he has or takes usually. So he keeps pretty low key about that. But
you can't
definitely
tease about it, not talk about it.
He teases them all the time. So he needs to come on here and list all of them. I
what?
definitely have one with him. I'll let him spill the beans on it. We just made it a couple days ago, so that's some rookies.
Okay. Well, yeah.
Something to look forward to.
That was the first edition. We'll see if I get Micah on or Landon or Dalton or Raheem, because a couple people are not currently in our state.
Yeah.
And then some are just not even in the country at the moment.
Some are on the moon, actually. So.
Yeah, I don't know where he's at this point. It's kind of like, where's Waldo? Where's Seth?
Could be underwater right now. We don't know.
Seth actually might be scuba diving for all we know.
He could be. He
also likes to high five elephants.
Yeah, big elephant guy.
Huge elephant guy. It's funny because of how short he is. But yeah,
not that short. Justice for Seth. He's not the shortest in the league, guys.
He's close though. Reed's very short though.
Deuce Vaughn's very short.
I'm taking Deuce Vaughn every time now.
Rico Dowdle for
no. Rico Dowdle can get off the team.
No, Rico Dowdle's the starter.
You are no longer a Dallas Cowboy.
That dude runs hard, by the way. He runs hard. Anyway,
runs hard to the bench.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, that was.
Anyway,
I feel like this was a good one.
Oh, very good. No.
Definitely be back with someone next week. Maybe we can cause some controversy.
Yeah.
We'll have to see.
Yeah.
Until then.
Hope he brings on Micah next. That guy sucks. So.
Oh, there we go. There's drama already.
He needed something.
Oh my God!
To fuel into the next episode.
Is this Jersey Shore?
Yeah.
Is this Total Drama Island?
We are signing out. Peace out to all the viewers. So.
Out of here.